Welcome, everyone, to the Second Network Convergence with the Network First Manifesto community. My name is Francisco Marin. I'm going to be moderating this Second Convergence as the project catalyst for the Network First Events project team. We're going to get started here in a second. So can you confirm if you can see my screen? Visible? Perfect. So let's go through the agenda for today's session. For those of you that are joining the Network First Manifesto for the first time, we're going to provide a very quick overview of the Network First Manifesto initiative, our operational model, and our values. And we have, as next point, we have a total of 9 active projects where the project catalyst will be providing us with an update on what's going on. Some of them were just ratified, so we'll be attracting new members. And each of them will have between 1 to 5 minutes to present their project. And we will also have 1 to 2 questions per project. And then we will review a total of 7 proposals that have been submitted as part of the last wave, and that will be available for voting. Again, each of them will have between 1 to 5 minutes. Then we'll have 2 breakout rooms of 15 minutes, so you have an opportunity to connect and network with other members. And finally, any left time, we will have an open discussion to address any pending topics. If you have any questions at any time, please feel free to raise your hand. Again, we will give like 1 to 2 questions after each presentation. And Katerina here, who I have enabled as a co-host, will be also reading in real time the questions on the chat and bring them up so we can have a conversation as interactive as possible. So let's get started. Basically, for those of you that have been interacting with the Network First Manifesto over the last weeks, many of you were asking the question of the why behind the Network First Manifesto. Why are we doing this? What is the purpose of this initiative? And the overall purpose of the initiative is really to design systems, tools, and frameworks that amplify human connection and collaborative freedom, but there is a wider context. And I want to start with that today, elaborating on the why before going into the what and the how. So as many of you might have noticed by now, we are entering an era where artificial intelligence is automating virtually every activity that we can perform as humans, right? So the question here is like, what is it that defines us as humans anymore in an era where AI can automate everything that we do? The collective response that we had through the Network First Manifesto is that our ability to connect with each other is what defines us as humans. And therefore, we should create systems, tools, and frameworks that amplify this human connection and collaborative freedom. However, there is a very important milestone that is expected to happen within the next 3 to 5 years based on the predictions from the experts in the field. And this is known as the singularity, or the advent of artificial general intelligence, or AGI. This level of development in artificial intelligence where it can basically surpass human general intelligence and understand, learn, and apply intelligence across a variety of fields in a way that is able to improve itself and in a way get out of our control. So we should not see this milestone as a destination, but really as a fork or a divergence where the AI is going to amplify whatever framework we are operating with as a society. Right now, the framework that we have is really centralized and siloed. And AI is amplifying that framework. But we have an opportunity within these 3 to 5 years of trying to balance the level of centralization with decentralization, achieve a more healthy framework, and that way basically make sure that by the time the AGI comes, it can amplify a healthier framework and move into what we call a era of post-scarcity. Post-scarcity means basically that basic needs and access to opportunity is no longer constrained by limited resources, because the distribution and production of resources has been largely automated. So some of the values of working on something you're passionate about, working with people that resonate with you, having freedom over your schedule, experience collaborative freedom, might sound to some people as aspirational. But the reason why we are bringing those values, those frameworks here right now is because we have to balance the current system so that we can avoid a situation where AI amplifies a system that doesn't work properly and where there can be excessive power concentration leading to fragile systems, if that makes sense. Okay. Hopefully this is useful to explain a little bit the context behind what we're doing. And now that we have covered the why, let's go to the what.
Yes, sorry, Francisco, but some people are saying that they cannot hear you properly. So,
is it now a little bit better? Maybe the mobile screen interference
there
or
is
something?
something with your speakers that are very loud, probably, or I don't know, microphone problem or something like that.
I'm hearing fine.
Yes.
Is it now a little bit better?
Okay. So
I'm hearing
Simon,
I listen fine.
Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
yeah, I've been hearing it fine the whole time.
Probably was an issue with interference from the mobile, but thanks for pointing that out. Perfect. We can continue then if the sound is better now. So we have covered the why. Let's continue basically with the what. So the Network First Manifesto is a decentralized community that designed, again, systems that amplify human connection, collaborative freedom. Collaborative freedom understood as the ability to work on something you're passionate about with people that resonate with you, having freedom over your schedule. The initiative started in August last year. We crafted a manifesto with 8 principles, which are social beings at our core, social capital and network literacy, open and closed networks, speed and stability balance, dynamic nature of network, formal and informal networks, managed collaborative demand, and collaborative freedom. There are 3 main topics in the manifesto, as you can see, kind of like the importance of human connection and social capital for human beings from a biological perspective, the aspect of collaborative freedom, and also trying to balance centralization and decentralization, formal and informal networks, speed and stability, etc. So nowadays, we count with a community of more than 500 members, close to 600 right now, more than 300 companies involved. If you don't find your logo in the visualization, please let me know and I'll make sure that it's updated for the next Network Convergence. But thank you all who have taken the time to sign up, provide your testimonial, provide your logo, and interacting with the initiative over the last months. This is our current operational model, just to give you a bit of context on the projects and proposals that will come now. So this is a model that we have been iterating through a couple of iterations with the 30-day impact challenge, but currently, basically, any founding member can submit a proposal. This is a proposal on a project they want to be leading or a change they want to happen within the community. And then basically at this monthly network convergence, like the one we have today, we come together and we review these proposals as well as updates from existing projects. Then if the proposal gets 25 votes or more, it gets ratified and a project is created on Slack, on the Slack workspace that we have. I know some of you are not very familiar with Slack, but no worries. If you sign up for a project, you will automatically be invited to the meetings of that project, and therefore you can interact with the initiative through the meetings without having to interact with Slack. So once the project is created, a team is formed. Typically, basically any member that wants to be part of the project, they can join through the Slack link and be part of it and be part of the regular cadence of meetings, which typically is 1 hour a week. And then for a period typically of 10 to 15 weeks, the teams are working on a weekly basis until the project is completed. Once the project is completed, and again, the projects will provide updates on a monthly basis in the network convergences, we share the outcome with the community, we document it so that it's available for anybody to have access to it, and we continue moving with further proposals. So this is the current decentralized model that we have, which is doing something very rare, which is basically enabling in a decentralized manner people from all over the world to come and work on projects, again, on things they're passionate about, with people that resonate with those projects and having freedom over their schedule. Still a very incipient, very early framework, but the beauty of this network convergence that we have today is that for the first time, that model is starting to scale. So we have already 9 active projects, and now we have 7 new proposals. So it's going to be a stress test for the model to see if it's able to scale or if it needs further iteration. I don't want to take more of your time. Basically, this should be like enough overview for those that are just getting started with the Network First Manifesto. So we can move forward and start with the presentation of the active projects that we have. I think that Curtis was the first one to come here, but he mentioned that oh yeah, I see you, Curtis. So I'm gonna make you a co-host so you can share the screen, okay? If you need to.
Super.
Or feel free to just present talking. Just a couple of best practices before we go into the presentations. As always, please feel free to, again, like the point of these projects and proposals is for the community to resonate with something that comes from a place of authenticity. Let's avoid commercial tone. Let's avoid description of company names, the description of products, description of services, but let's try to enable a space for co-creation with the community, right? So we'll have, again, a total of 9 projects, starting with Curtis, and then we'll go to the proposals. So Curtis, whenever you're ready, stage is yours.
All right. Thank you very much. My audio good too? All right. Great. Hey, everyone. So this is Project Synthetic Organizational Network Analysis, or Project Synthetic ONA. What is that? Well, what if we could offer the world, if our community could offer a gift, a tangible artifact, some kind of data set, a useful data set for research, for practice. And I think the most important thing, this would be a synthetic organizational network data set for testing interventions, testing our ideas for organizational change and transformation before we, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on any kind of intervention. What if we could run synthetic tests? So I think it's an interesting moment, and we're not alone. From my initial research, I found that there's already 3 interesting projects. These are more focused on social networks like Twitter graphs and things like that. I haven't found anyone who's done something very organizational specific, although there may be other projects out there. And certainly many of you that are practitioners have, crafted and created and modeled your own graphs internally. But this would be one that we could all create together and in a synthetic way. So that's the ambition. I think it's interesting timing because it's really, I think it's hitting, as for all the reasons Francisco just said, we're hitting a moment where ONA is going to be even more important to map and model this decentralized coming sort of world. And AI is hitting at the same moment, as he also said, and it's in a moment where we can explore much more easily network topologies, much more dynamically and programmatically. Digital twins and these kind of things are coming of age. So we think this is kind of an interesting moment for us. And it's pretty feasible. I ran a simple test, just created a silly, simple custom GPT with OpenAI. I gave it a name, NFM Nexus Synth, and I gave it a set of skills, just said, hey, you're, act as a, be a ONA expert kind of thing. Gave it a persona. And in 5 minutes, I had it model, one of the classic decentralized organizations of the past couple decades, W.L. Gore. I'll put this link in chat, but I'll just show you briefly how fast that interaction went. So I just said, hey, GPT, tell me about your skills. And it said, this is what I can do. And I said, hey, W.L. Gore is an example of decentralization. Use your tools and develop a model of their network and limit it to 100 nodes for a sample. And it generated some Python code, and I had Claude run it, and voila, we got a graph. So I think the tools have come of age, and I think this is quite feasible. So the ambition is to really build a team. And right now, it's me as the catalyst and my colleague and friend, Dr. Silvia Frasco out of Timisoara, Romania. And we need you. So we're looking at this point to build a team. Maybe about 10 folks would be our critical mass to get moving. And we welcome anybody, whether you're organizational development, design, any kind of practitioner, consultant. We all have different skills, and we need them all in this project. I think my thought process right now for how we would move forward is after we get that critical mass, we will, kind of define a scope and our ambition for the endpoint and where we would land, run some tests. It'll be very co-creative work. We'll be kind of hacking our own tools. So I think part of the gift at the end is not only the data set, but probably the tools that we create to make this data set. So we'll be handing both of those things out there. And probably establishing some kind of governance and how and where we will publish this. Maybe it's on GitHub, maybe it's some other repository. And we'll need to validate these graphs. So that's where I'm counting on Sylvia to help us a lot, and folks like yourselves. So we just want to really engage the community, and we'll be hosting weekly calls, and mine run for exactly 47 minutes. I don't believe in 1 hour calls, and I like to give people back part of their hour. Why 47? If any Star Trek fans out there, 47 is a magic number. All right. That's it from me. Any questions? I'm happy to take them, and look forward to working with y'all.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you for keeping it up to 5 minutes. Any questions for Curtis' project? If it's so, please feel free to raise your hand anytime. No questions. Remember that I have
So, Francisco, I have a question.
Please go ahead, Phil.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to understand, what problem is this trying to solve? What's the existing problem that we are trying to address here?
I think one issue, Phil, is that a lot of us have, I'm speaking here of many of us on this call are practitioners. We've worked with commercial tools. We've modeled organizations. Those stay inside our tools and our organizations. I've never seen public data sets where what does a siloed organization versus a decentralized one really look like, where everybody in the world can see that and access it. So I think it's really giving this these network topologies in a kind of public way. So it's a public asset, right? And publish it on something like GitHub. That's what I think is new and different. It would allow people to explore and learn, right? So we said network literacy is one of our values. So anyone doing network literacy or training on networks, they've got great data to work with, right? That kind of thing.
Okay, guys, we have
so
to really...
the tools that we have now would actually use this data set.
Yeah, like whatever your tool you have, Gephi or any of these tools would be able to consider. These are just nodes and edges graphs, right? Classic network graphs, right?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah,
thanks.
sure.
Thank you, Curtis. Guys, we had to really move faster with the presentations and the questions because we had 9 proposals and 9 projects and 7 proposals.
Did I go too long, Francisco?
No worries.
Okay.
Please, let's just move forward.
All right.
So, thank you, Curtis. I think, Zane, you want to go next, right? Because you have a conflict. So do you want, I'm going to make you co-host here. And let me just make you co-host.
Can you hear me well?
Yeah, you should be able to share now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
At least. Okay, that's good. So basically what my project is about, it's about measuring success. It's a very abstract term. Why we need to do this? When it comes to the networks, we need to objectively assess our collaboration skills, right? How we measure collaboration? Maybe that's the way how we do it. Maybe there are other ways of how to do it. So what we are doing in this project, we are gonna experiment with the gaming experience. I received questions in previous time, why the hell we need to play a game, right? Like, what is the difference between business context and gaming context? Well, a gaming context provides you a very early feedback loop on how it would be to potentially collaborate with people. We still need to reach collective success, right? We need to perform under scarce resources. We need to resolve conflicts. So this is also a very good practice for us to reflect how to collaborate, but also how to measure that in real time. So in the previous 3 sessions, we talked a lot about what means success in a network first. When I started this project, I actually thought that initially this would be around collective performance, because in the workplaces, it's all about performance. But over time, we realized that network first values starts with the passion and engagement, and the performance and monetization is only secondary. Where is the challenge? The challenge is that we are still living in this scarcity mindset. We haven't reached our North Star of the universal base income. So we also have to figure out ways how we can bring that passion into existing workplaces. One way of how we look at this was through gamification principles, how to increase the engagement. So that was the one thing that we reflected. And the next 2 sessions, what I'm planning to do, either use existing scales of the surveys that we will gonna use as a ways to reflect after our gaming experience or create our own scales. Ideally, I would want that this could be reused also for the existing projects. That's shortly about my project, and I'm very sorry for
No worries. No worries, Zani, you did
for
great.
the technical problems. Once again, of course, gaming environment is different from the business context, but what stays the same is the people behavior.
Amazing. Thanks a lot, Zane.
Okay.
You explained great, and no worries. I will cut the technical issue from the recording later. So, do we have any question for Zane?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm just.
Anybody wants to raise their hand or just unmute yourself and ask the question before we move to the next project? Well, I have added the link to join Zane's project on Slack on the comments, so you can join there anytime. Again, no questions. So then we can move forward to the next one. Jaya, are you there? Let me just find you.
Yes, I'm here.
So I'm gonna make you a co-host again. If you see for whatever reason that you have any technical issues sharing the presentation, just go ahead and provide a verbal update so we can understand the context. And yeah, let's not spend much time with the technicalities. Okay. So yeah, you should be able to share at any time now.
Okay, let me share my screen. See here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. So basically, I'm covering the passive ONA. You heard about Curtis's synthetic ONA. And so there's another one that's called passive ONA. So this is where ONA, actually, let me just back up a bit. So every day we get a lot of information and so on from our colleagues and how we do work and so on. So give me 1 second here. Let me just move this thing really quick. Yeah. So myself and Marilyn are working on the passive ONA, which is a continuation of an active ONA. And as I said earlier, every day our organization generates thousands of digital signals, such as emails, messages, and meeting invites. Usually we see this just as work, but what if we could just turn all of this collaboration patterns into usable signals to understand how work really happens? And this is where passive ONA comes into action. Passive ONA basically analyzes data already flowing through tools like emails, calendars, messaging platforms to reveal real collaboration patterns without adding surveys or extra tasks on any members or employees. So this is where the power of passive ONA comes in. We're not asking people who they are talking to, but what we do is we observe the natural flow of the network to see how collaboration truly lives within our teams. So let me just walk you through this. I want to thank Ivana so much for putting this presentation together. As you can see, we are continuing our, or rather keeping the city analogy from Ivana's active ONA presentation from the last convergence. And to make sense of this data, let's imagine that our organization is a city. And in any city, you have different ways of moving around. So you have the public channel here, which actually works as a highway where we have high volume and transparent communication. And then we have the private channels, which are the side streets, which are meant for smaller, more focused groups. And then we have the direct messaging, where we consider that as a back alley that is used for fast contextual one-on-one exchange. So that's just to give you how our information is being moved. And then the next slide here, the power grid. Basically, what this is about is this is to show you how much of power, if it's a city, how much of power does the city need to keep everything running. So here, if communication is the city's infrastructure, then message volume is the power grid. So this shows the overall electric load of the network, how activities are flowing at any given time, just like a real city. It helps us to see whether the network is energized, underutilized, or potentially strained. This is where we start spotting early signs of signals of silos or burnouts before they become visible problems. And then the next one here, oops, okay. So here we can see how the zoning and the traffic is flowing. So I'm using zoning and traffic just to keep along with the city analogy. You can see majority of the communication is done here in public channels, 64%. And then of course, and that shows that it's a great sign, actually. It reflects a strong preference for open communication and transparency across the network, city highways or networks. And then we also see that we have a good amount, about 26%, 1/4 of the messages that's being done in DMs. And that is meaningful layer of coordination occurring outside of the shared spaces. And then the next slide here, see here, talks about zoning of the city. And, when we zone the city, we see that a smaller number of channels hold majority of the members. And here you can see Network Guide, the main channel, both the English and the Spanish, has the majority of the members. And then, of course, they serve as central town squares here, where broad participation happens, while many smaller spaces host focus and niche collaborations, as you can see over here. And then, see here, really quick here. Now, the city comes to life, and here you can see when we launched September, and right after we launched, September 22nd, we had a peak of a lot of, sudden rapid influx of members joining, and the surge here. And then, of course, slowly it started finding its natural, sustainable pace. And so this is just to give you an idea of how the city, when the city comes to life, you see all this. And then the next one here, okay, city without gridlock. So what we mean here is the network stays alive, not because everyone gathers, but it's because information and everything else within the network can move freely and fluidly across many spaces without any frictions. And then we have here some of the realization that we came across while we were doing this project, while we started talking about this project, is the network is active but not overloaded, no strong signals of silos or burnout. Participation is sustained with a stable core audience, and the communication culture is open with healthy balance of public, private, and direct interactions. And well-marked streets. And we all know we have well-marked streets, you don't get lost. So that's, so this is good. This goes to show about that. If you have well-marked streets, you have clear onboarding and pin guides that explains purpose and improves navigation. And that's how we are running our network. And then also our network also encourages lightweight engagement. For example, reactions, polls, quick check-ins to boost participation. And then we use user-centric design, which prioritizes clear pathways over crowded spaces. And then what does all this do? The impact of, what happens when the city becomes easier to navigate, right? So members find it easy and find the right spaces faster. Engagement is distributed across channels, less overload, silos, or burnout, and healthier and more balanced participation overall. So That's pretty much what I wanted to say. So by listening to these signals, we don't just see data, we see the heartbeat of our organization. It allows us to build a more connected, efficient, and transparent network or city for all members. So as such, we want to invite you to join us in this work and to see how we can better understand how passive ONA works and how actually work itself happens. So thank you all, and I'd like to also thank Ivana once again for creating the city analogy framework used in this DAG. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay. I have shared the link to join your project on Slack in the comments. Do you have any questions for Jaya? Sarah has a question. Please go ahead.
I just was curious. It seemed to me intuitively that the data that you're using or that you're observing are all coming from Slack. And I know that there are folks that belong to the network that don't participate heavily on Slack. And I know in my own experience that increasingly my communication with other network members is happening over email through my own email, and you wouldn't have visibility since we don't all have network first emails. So I'm curious about how you plan to evolve that, or if that's come up in how you talk about it.
Yes, we use Slack, but I also believe, Ivana, please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, because she helped us with this measuring the data. We use Slack for sure. And I understand that we are also going to be using other, such as, I want to say emails, as well as Zoom and YouTube. Correct me if I'm wrong, Ivana.
Maybe yeah, I can complement that. So yeah, you might remember, guys, that we did the first active organizational network analysis based on a survey. So all this data, both on the active and passive ONA side, is only analyzed at aggregate level. We don't analyze any information at individual level, as you can see in the results that are being shared. Right now, the results that Jaya shared are based on aggregate level analysis of the API of Slack. Again, no information shared at individual level. We're not analyzing the content of the communications. We're just showing, as you see, basically the overall number of messages posted, number of people that are joining certain projects, and that's about it. We really want to take this one step at a time. As Sarah mentioned, not everyone is familiar with Slack. Some people prefer WhatsApp, some people prefer email. I really would encourage to all of you, even if you are not familiar with Slack, to go and give it a try, because there is a lot of interesting activity happening there. I know it's not easy. I started working myself with startup a few months ago, but the good thing here as well, again, once you join a project, even if you don't interact with Slack, you will receive the invitation to the meetings. And then on those weekly meetings, you can start interacting one-on-one with the project catalyst and with the other team members. So we are working really to make additional options available to all of you to interact with the community without having to suffer the painful experience of Slack sometimes with all the notifications. Maybe at some point we'll have a network first platform where we can do this work in a more automated way. But for the time being, yeah, thank you for your patience, and hopefully that clarifies, Sarah, the scope and the tools being used here.
That's helpful. Thanks.
Thank you. Well, let's go to the next presentation. Next we have, thank you, Jaya. And again, I've dropped the link to join the Network First ONA project there. Katarina, I think you're next. I think you're already a co-host, so feel free to share whenever you're ready. Yep. We can see your screen. I don't think we can hear you though.
Yeah, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, so our project is Network First Workplace Design. We are redefining how workplace can look like in a decentralized world in the future. And what we did over the last month, basically, so first of all, I want to introduce my core team. Core team, meaning people that attended more than 80% of all the meetings. So I would like to thank them. Their contribution is amazing. So we have different profiles. We have Jaya. Thank you, Jaya, for she has experience in HR, Aaron with organizational effectiveness. We have Zane that has experience in software development, Francisco, entrepreneur, of course, and expert of symbology, I have to say. And myself, I'm an interior designer. So we have a diverse group with different experiences. So first, I want to present our personas. These are our users of the workplace. We group them into 4 different categories. So there are deep focusers, connectors, explorers, and stabilizers. So deep focusers are people that need their own silent space to really focus. They are very analytical and independent. Connectors are usually more social. They want to collaborate with other people and they're very engaging. Explorers are usually very creative. They want to really explore each space in the workplace. And then stabilizers are those people that are very reliable, very organized and consistent. They need more predictability and stability. So this is the image that really reflect like each persona, how they can utilize the open space. So this was made by Aaron. I told him like if he ever want to change the career, I would be happy to hire him as an interior designer because it looks amazing. And then so in the last session, I was speaking about the core principles that we were, all of us created together. And what we did over the last month, we explore visually each of these principles. So for example, the first one is design for well-being. So each of us had to create during the session interior design image with using AI, and that will reflect that principle. So we can explore how we can visually basically create the future workplaces. So the design for well-being symbolizes elements like biophilic elements with the, you can see the flowers being the lighting or bringing nature in. We have a lot of natural, like clean air. Nourishment is my favorite feature of this image. So we can see waterfall as a drinkable water and healthy snacks. So there is a lot of plenty of fruits. And then we have comfortable and seating, very flexible. Then we have the second one, is more apocalyptic. So this one is the design for collaboration. So it reflects shared collaboration zone, large digital display walls. So everything will be very transparent and visual, flexible, group seating, open visual connectivity, and central gathering spaces. For the design with place and environment, we see again the biophilic integration, culture and sensory connection, nature-inspired materials, grounded space flow, and human-centered gathering space. And then we have the fourth one is design with intelligent systems. This is really interesting. So we were trying to hide different sensories and create like a smart workplace. So you can see the occupancy sensors, room status, display system, real-time data network interface, personnel climate and lighting controls, autonomous delivery robot, and holographic project viewer. And then the last one was designed for culture and community. So this one showcased the network visualization wall, hybrid meeting screens, shared collaboration tables, informal launch, conversation areas, and visualization of the projects. So after this exploration, we were thinking about creating actually the implementation guide for companies that would like to experiment with Network First. And we identify 8 pillars that we will be designing with the Network First workplace. So the first one is Network First only space, meaning if companies want to implement this methodology, they have to isolate a space that will be only Network First. This is lesson learned from Agile methodology. So we don't want to mix the traditional way of working with Network First, but companies have to identify what is the isolated space for it. The second one is a project display. So everything will be very transparent and visual. We want people to interact based on projects, not based on roles. And that's why we need to display all the projects so people can go proactively to the space and interact with others based on their interest. The third one is biophilic elements. So this is something that was repeated often in our principles, and it's very important for us. And this is basically the connection of human to nature, or bringing outside in. The co-created artifacts, this is important for a community to create focal point, which will be the decorative item created by everybody. So everybody feel like they're owning the space. Collaboration zone, there will be a distinction between collaborative zones and focus zones. So these two are important as well. Network analysis, so we will use organizational network analysis as a basis to measure the collaboration and to display it again on a project display. And void zone, so this is something extra. We wanted to create spaces that will be basically visually empty, so people can interpret those spaces however they want to. So this is really just to support or enhance creativity of the people in the area.
Katarina, yes, because we're well beyond the 5 minutes. Thank you. Super interesting stuff. Do we have any questions for Katarina? Everybody, feel free to raise your hand or unmute yourself.
It's beautiful. It's wonderful, Katarina. Great job.
Thank you, Jay. Also,
yeah, it's lovely. I was just telling the chat, I'm like, I feel calm and tranquil just looking at it.
Yes.
Amazing, amazing.
Remember, guys, that again, this is not a commercial initiative. We are not charging fees. There are no sponsors, but there is no limitation for the projects to develop commercialized products. Where in the case of Katarina,
that's our goal. Like right now, we want to create an example and then try to implement it in some organization as a proof of concept, and then commercialize this as a common project. So if you want to still join, I'm happy to welcome you to the.
I have dropped the link to join Katarina's project on Slack in the comments. So let's go to the next one. Micheline is gonna share with us about the Network First ONA events. So let me like to share. We cannot hear you yet. Have to mute yourself, Micheline.
Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zone. Hope everyone is doing great. Thank you so much, Katarina, for that awesome presentation. So for me, I am not the project catalyst for this Network First Events group, but I am a member of the collective. So I'm excited to share just like quick high-level updates on just like things that we're thinking about and working towards. So as you guys know, Network First events bring together founding members, new participants, partners, and really the whole goal is to create belonging and a place, a hub for folks to celebrate progress and co-create the movement. So what we focus on, in the past few weeks is really just setting out to understand how you guys want the Network First Convergences to show up. So this is just like a high level, just quick snapshot insight into what you guys are thinking. So overall, you guys from the first Network First Convergence really appreciate the initial format that we've started with thus far. So everyone who has participated in the survey has felt that it is effective in some kind of way. So that is awesome. And around 87% of you guys also highlighted that the convergences, the concept of it is motivating to really just connect with each other, learn more about projects, and just come together as a collective. Some high-level feedback and just in terms of cadence that folks are seeing, just the general mood that we're getting from you guys is that you guys want to be informed, but not necessarily every single month. So just over 75% of you guys highlighted that you would love to see progress anywhere between every 2 months to every quarter. So that's definitely something that we are holding in mind as we, look to evolve, Network First events. And then just as far as future evolution, what you guys would like to see from the future are deeper dives and more opportunities to connect with each other in small group capacity. So that's something that we are definitely, looking to incorporate. So, of course, we want to create experiences, that are meaningful, informed, valuable, and a great use of your time. So if you want to contribute to the events project team, project collective, you can definitely join us on Slack. And also, please continue to share feedback as far as what you would like to see from Network First Convergences, what would you like to see from the summit that we've also discussed as well. So we would love to continue hearing your feedback. So, but particularly as it relates to convergences, like please, complete those surveys as we send them out. So this way we get like an even more, expanded view of what you guys want from these sessions, because we want to make sure that when we hold them, you're gaining the diverse perspectives and the connection that you're all seeking across Network First events. So yeah, that was super quick.
Thank you very much, Micheline. And we are trying to incorporate some of the feedback that you submitted through the form in this network convergence in terms of some of you wanted to spend more time reviewing the project. So we've allocated more time to review the projects and the proposals, and also we'll do like, instead of one breakout room of 30 minutes, we'll do 2 of 15 minutes. So please feel free to complete these feedback forms, because it really helps the events team to iterate these experiences. Any questions for Micheline? And remember that I've dropped the link to join the project on Slack as well in the comments. Anybody, please just unmute yourself or raise your hand. No questions, comments for anybody would like to share their impressions of this network convergence with the community as part of these questions? Nope.
No, only congratulations to everybody, to every people in the next or close country. It's amazing to see the community there, the I don't know, this type of union about that topic. I'm really so happy to be part of that.
Thank you, Elena. We're so glad to come with your voice, part of the movement as well. And thank you, everyone, for your patience, your intention. I mean, like, this is not easy what we are doing here of, managing this the community. There is a lot of work in the background. Sometimes that is not visible, but you are somehow making it happen. And yeah, I'm very excited about it as well. Thanks, Ileana. Maybe, so next one, we got the one and only Nat Schooler, who just got his proposal ratified. So Nat, I'm going to make you a co-host. And yeah, looking forward to your presentation. You have to mute yourself, though.
Okay, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I don't have a presentation, but I have a project which is really quite exciting for me, and hopefully for you guys as well. And it's Project Visions from the Network. So it's a collaborative initiative to co-create a podcast that defines and amplifies the Network First movement. It explores the intersection of the future of work, and in particular, where we are with AI at the moment. I think that is particularly important. Emerging technology, and also humans flourishing in this new age of, well, it's not a new age of AI. We all know it's not new, but we are in a transitional phase, is how I would put it. So the process is, it's a 10-week collective planning journey designed to move away from solo production, because I produce on my own at the moment, towards a networked creation. So this focuses on building the foundation in 4 key areas: the identity, defining the name of the show or the series, the style, the logo, etc., etc., and then the content, mapping out the themes that matter most to the community and also that are going to be popular externally of the community. And obviously this involves identifying guests, the pioneers and the voices of the future. And production, obviously designing a suitable collaborative workflow, which I've got a pretty good idea of because I've been doing this for kind of 10 years, give or take. And the main sort of interesting part of this is I want to include the audience, and I'm not saying you guys aren't the audience, but I'm talking about an audience externally to you. I want to engage them in building the podcast studio that I'm going to be building in my home. Currently, it's a 22 square meter storage room, and there's no window, but I want to convert the door into a glass door and then convert that into a professional studio here in rural Croatia. I live about 15 minutes from many beaches. And when it's finished, obviously, you'll be invited to come and hang out, eat some food, record a podcast perhaps, and obviously go to the beach. So the goal is to leverage our collective experience to create a show that isn't just about the network, but it is an organic product of it, which appeals to the outside world because we can all be our own biggest fans, right? So this is an invitation to shift from being passive listeners to active architects of a shared vision and something we can all be a part of in some way. And thank you, Francisco, and everybody else who voted this project in. And thanks everyone for listening.
Amazing, Nat. Thanks, and congrats on getting your proposal ratified. Again, like always, one thing that Nat did really well is he created this video where he was explaining his personal story behind why he wanted to create a podcast about the future of work in the first place. Not sure, Nat, if you want to share again that with us today for those of you that didn't have the opportunity to see the video, but it's important to really understand this coming from a place of authenticity and personal experience from each of the project catalysts, right? Do you want to elaborate a bit more on that?
Yeah, well, it was an interesting journey. I got invited to join a round table by IBM, probably in 2014, and I sat around this round table, and the editor of Wired just talked and talked and talked, and he probably talked 80% of the time about how excited he was about AI. And it was all about AI and the future of work. And frankly, at the time, I was terrified of AI and I was very worried about it. And then someone said, well, you really need to read the book, The Second Machine Age. And so I started reading the book on the Second Machine Age, which is like a couple of MIT professors or students that wrote this book. And then I kind of became more half glass full around AI because I use it all the time. You guys probably use it all the time for all sorts of things, but I'm a beacon of light, which is there, which says, hold on a minute, you're using it, but are you actually thinking? Are you actually using it for things that would help you to grow your intelligence, or are you using it for things that it's going to dampen your intelligence? Because MIT have proved with some research that it basically will damage your intelligence if you use AI to write all the time and you don't actually use your brain. So, this is just one of the things that I think is really important. And, as far as why I started a podcast, I actually, not being funny, but I heard some words in my head and God spoke to me and said, well, you need to launch a podcast show. And excuse me. And like any normal person, I completely ignored him. And then he came back 3 weeks later and I heard these words again saying, you need to launch a podcast show. And then I cut a long story short, because I know we're in a hurry here. I basically launched this podcast show, and then I was approached by the world's largest ebook publishing firm who said, we want to do a load of audios and we'd like you to do them. So then I went on a massive binge of creating 100 podcast episodes in 1 month, in 100 days. And then that became my income for 6 years. And I really didn't work very much in 6 years. Unfortunately, they got bought by a big company. that got shelved, and now I'm back out of retirement at the age of 49 and a bit. And frankly, it was a big shock. And now I'm looking forward to kind of really getting stuck into making something grow, you know? So,
well, Nat,
yeah.
thanks for sharing
Thank
your
you.
story with us. And yeah, the universe has brought you basically its answer to, to leverage this community to create a podcast on Network First, and you have here an amazing community of potential speakers and supporters and co-creators. So super excited. I've dropped the link to join your project. Any questions for Nathan before we move forward? And Brian, I know that you are monitoring the question. If there is any questions that we have gone through, like we have overlooked, just please let me know.
We just had one comment so far, and it's been addressed by the coordinator of that project. So we're doing good, Francisco. I'll let you know.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Any other questions, feedback for Nathan? Very good. Okay, perfect. So yeah, looking forward to that project as well. We can move forward with our next presenter, Robert Simonson, who just got his proposal for the book group approved. Robert, are you there? Let me find you.
I'm here, Francisco. Hello. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, let me make you co-host so you can share. And yep, whenever you're ready.
Thanks so much, Francisco. Well, I thought I might just start by picking up on what Nat was saying about reading a book called The Second Machine Age, and that book really unlocking something for him, because what often draws us to nonfiction books is that we're trying to achieve some kind of professional development goal, and those books can really move forwards a conversation in our heads. And if we start to talk to people about our reading of those books and find maybe they've read the same book or a similar book, that can unlock something else in our professional development. So I'd just like you to take a moment to recognize how many people there are here. We've got about 38 people on the call and room for only one voice at a time. But just imagine how many different goals and objectives and challenges we have in common if only we could sort of find those goals and challenges. So what I'd like to do is just a 3-minute exercise where we start to uncover some of your respective goals and challenges. What I'd like you to do is join book group, and it doesn't commit you to the project in any way at all. But once you're in the Slack channel, take a look around, and I'd like you to post one of your professional development goals into the channel, and also a little bit of information about why that goal is important to you and any books you've been reading in relation to that goal, which helps to show that you are actually committed to that goal. And what I'm hoping is that if we start sharing some of our professional development goals, you can like each other's posts in that Slack group and find some shared goals that perhaps we could book some meetings, and you can meet some other people that are also working towards that goal and share some knowledge. And if we can find some common goals, I'll facilitate in booking those meetings, and you can have a knowledge sharing conversation. So I think we've got about 2 or 3 minutes. If you could join the book group Slack channel, share one of your goals, your professional development goals into the Slack channel, and maybe a book or two that you've been reading in relation to that goal, and then respond to other people's posts in the channel.
Yeah, I've shared the link to join your project on Slack, Robert. And again, remember, like it's amazing. Let's do the best that we can to deal with Slack. Remember, we'll also be setting meetings for the projects, right? So even if some of you are not familiar with Slack, just by joining that, Robert is going to have a database basically with your contact, and he will be able to send you the invite meetings. Do we have any questions for Robert on his project? Can give the stage. I've already proposed there a book, The Kybalion, which I think is an amazing book. Everyone should read. And I know that there are many people that are passionate about reading in the community as well. So any questions, comments, or feedback or impressions for Robert?
think we could have a couple of minutes, Francisco, as well for people to make some posts into that channel.
Yeah, I would just, however, I would not try to use the time that we have here to
No, that's the
monitor
point.
activity on Slack.
That was the point of the exercise, to use the time now while we're all together.
Okay, well, you have your 3 minutes. Please go ahead. If you want to share the screen and share your Slack project, we can wait for it and see the post from people. Go ahead.
You are unmute. You are muted.
Sorry, just wanted to mention, Robert, since you are not sharing the screen, I just want to make you a favor and share your project here. So we see already people like Jaime, Alan, Marwa, Rhiannon joining. And yeah, you can post here your goals and suggest the books. Well, Robert, since that you have already there the first few members, it's okay we move forward to the next project?
Please do complete that later on then, and look forward to meeting you in book group. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Okay, let's move forward to the next one. Sarah with Network First Poetics, you want to go ahead and let me make you co-host so you can share anytime. Thank you.
Great. All right. So hi, everyone. I'm Sarah D'Souza. I'm the project catalyst for Network First Poetics, which is a really fun, really dynamic project. And I hope, Francisco, that's okay that I use this time that I have. I think the most efficient way to do this is that I can give an update about poetics and then also talk briefly about the project proposal for the book. Is that okay with you? Cool. So for those who aren't yet familiar with what the Poetics Project is, we are on week 7 of a 10-meeting arc that we are all committed to, or at least that I'm committed to hosting, in which we're developing a Network First lexicon in the form of the glossary that you can see on the Network First website. And the original inspiration for this project proposal was really my obsession with language. I'm a poet and a psychologist that is very interested in the power of language to shape our thinking and our understanding of the world, and also an aspiring polyglot and linguophile. And so I brought to Network First this attention to and passion for language and how language shapes systems. And you can see this showing up all over Network First now in terms of the convergence. So that is one of the terms that we evolved through our work together in this group. The term project catalyst is another term for and that emerged through our collaborative work. Our most recent dialogue was about the term collaborative freedom, which is a term that was introduced to the network and seeded by Francisco himself. So we didn't attempt to change the term at all, but rather to give it a more robust definition, to have a dialogue around what we mean by that, and then to introduce it into the glossary in a structured way that makes it visible and transparent and legible to the community. In terms of our structure and how we work, we meet once a week. The meetings are at 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. We're at 6 p.m. my time here in Portugal. We also have a shared doc that we collaborate on and our Slack dialogue. And all of those are very active. So there are plenty of ways to contribute to this project. If you can't make the meeting time, you can contribute asynchronously. The meetings themselves are an open format, so you're welcome to just show up, even though we're on meeting 7 of a 10-meeting arc. Don't feel like you've missed something and you can't join the conversation. We have folks that have only recently joined in the last couple of weeks. We have a focus for our dialogue, which is usually 1 or 2 specific terms that have kind of emerged as particularly salient or timely in terms of their how they're shaping the network. And so there's still plenty of room for other folks to join us. I wanted to make sure that that was clear. And then I just want to say that since we're in week 7 of a 10-week arc, our 11th meeting has already been defined as kind of a recap to discuss the future of Network First Poetics and what form we want it to take going forward. So if you happen to join on the 11th week, you'll be part of a different kind of discussion, but you'd be welcome to join that as well. And then this is where you can find the glossary. So the glossary is in the index on the website. And as I mentioned, these are a few of the terms that we've already offered. It's a living definition. I don't want to say that these definitions are static, because of course I imagine that they will change over time, but we also want to still offer something that creates a shared sense of meaning when we're using this new terminology together. So Project Catalyst, Collaborative Freedom, Network Convergence, and Network Guide, and network guiding as a practice that's emerging in our network are things that we've worked on so far. And so, of course, join us in the Slack channel. That's the easiest way for me to keep track of who's in the project and to make sure that I invite you to our ongoing meetings. And then this project proposal cycle, Francisco and I together are proposing a new project to the network, which is a book proposal. And so this is a pretty obvious continuation of the Poetics project and my passion for writing and language. And the idea behind this is very similar to what Nat said about the podcast. We really want to create an artifact that can share the paradigm that's emerging here with a broader audience. But to me, it's also an experiment in a collaborative authorship process. And I have some experience in academia with different precedents for that, like books where multiple experts contribute chapters to the book, and it's kind of woven together with an editor and an introduction that provides an overview of the, kind of a coherent theme for the volume, things like that. I have a lot of other ideas about how this could look, and I don't want to put too much structure to it at first because this is something that I want to invite folks who join this project with us to help co-create. But this is just a conceptual draft so that you get a sense of kind of what this could look like. An introduction to Network First as a paradigm shift, chapters on different topics that are sort of meta topics or meta projects that are emerging. For example, the Poetics project and evolving a Network First lexicon, value creation and economics of Network First, which is you'll hear about later on this call, I believe. Network theory, culture, decentralized governance. So if you can imagine chapters strung together around themes like that help communicate the paradigm. And then from my perspective, this would blend historical context, poetic significance, the symbolic system emerging that grounds Network First in symbols, and then also the lived experience of Network First community members so that it's not all theoretical, but we have this, huge community that we can tap into for, first person narratives about their experience working in hierarchy first models, what drew them to Network First, et cetera. And then also contributing academic research to really make it a more robust and compelling, again, not just theoretical model. So that's my proposal.
Thank you.
I'm really excited
Sarah.
about it.
Yeah. We
And I'll
jumped
stop
already
there.
from the projects into the proposal. That's fine. It makes sense to present both together. I have to say, I've enjoyed a lot the session, Sarah. You've been doing an amazing job as a project catalyst, and you can see already some of the terms like network convergence and project catalyst being part of the universe on Network First. So yeah, super excited about working with you on this new book as well. And remember, guys, there's no exclusivity here. Anybody is more than encouraged at any time to write their own books, their own publications, right? Hopefully this can just create a ripple effect and encourage other members as well to write their books. Thank you, Sarah. Any questions for Sarah? I have dropped on the comments both the link to join the Network First Poetics project on Slack, as well as the link to vote for her proposal, Network First book. Any questions, comments, or feedback for Sarah?
Francisco, I'm just going to flag Dawn's comment to Sarah. Sarah, you should see that if you're not in the chat right now. There's several people that are giving you props, but there's also some offers to help. So,
Oh, fantastic.
Right there.
Thank you, Brian.
Again, any questions, comments, feedback for Sarah before we move forward? So with that, again, just take my own feedback, Sarah. I love your project, and you make you light up my day. You know, these days I have like 20 meetings. I have go to one of your sessions, and I'm just happy for the rest of the day. So congratulations.
That I have to confirm that is very true. He always tell me, "Oh, I had these poetics. It's amazing." It's true.
Again,
I feel the same way about it. Katerina, I take from your presentation that I want to call out our contributing, our kind of core members. And I know that I'm going to forget people, but Francisco's been there. Katerina, you've been there. Joe has been there. Curtis has been there. Brian is kind of one of our newer members. Donna, Julia. I mean, we have like just this fantastic group of folks. We have such a fun time together. So please
by the
join
way,
us.
before we go to the next project with Donna, this is really what we are trying to do here. Network First is about, if you want to launch a project to work on something you're passionate about, you don't have to do it in isolation. You can have a small community that acts as a feedback loop. You engage in co-creation. You don't have to do it alone. And it's perfectly fine. Sometimes you get a group of 5 to 6 people, like in the case of Sarah and Katarina, that join on a regular basis, and how you have some people that hop on and off projects. That's perfectly fine as well. But really, just for those of you that are starting the project, be patient, create that small group, and you see that it makes a huge difference as you scale. We're going to go next with Donna, who also got her proposal ratified with the Vital Cartography project. Sorry, Donna, I missed you in the slide, but I'll add you up afterwards. Just doing my best here. And after that, we'll get started with the proposal. So, Donna, let me make you a co-host, and you should be.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I don't have slides, so I'm just
go ahead.
I'm going to ask people to use their imaginations for a moment. In the chat, I put the quote that sort of affirmed my approach in vital cartography, which is a concept. And I think rather than it's a concept that I want to have materialized into an interactive, experiential, artistic experience that would fit into a museums that specialize in interactivity. I don't know the outcome yet, but I know it needs to be an experience. So I'm going to just walk you through the imagination part of it, and then roll back and touch on what I'm hoping this experience will solve, if I may. So you can close your eyes, or you cannot close your eyes, whatever methodology, whatever approach it serves you in terms of getting out of your head and into your creative side, your right brain. And just imagine that you're looking at a display which has the 11 systems of the body illustrated, each by color. And you have, behind that, you have an organizational network of people, of which you may or may not be a part of, because there's a crossover between art and science, and that's what we're explaining or playing with. And on the left-hand side, there's a dashboard. An event takes place, layoffs being an example. And you might say, well, this is how I feel about this. So there's no more than 3 buttons that you sort of improv style, choose your experience. And the systems, the network of the systems that make up your body light up in accordance with what you are feeling in that moment. And in the backdrop is the organizational impact. And it's going to be on decision-making, risk-taking, and health and well-being, or at minimum. That's what we're imagining into reality in vital cartography. The idea is to bump the whole way of thinking from linear and predictable into non-linear, and be able to use those as partners rather than one dominating the other, which right now linear dominates non-linear. So we're looking at, I'm looking to create a dance experience with this. there's three parts to what I'm hoping to solve with this. One is the idea that body systems are predictable and organization systems are predictable. So we move out of engineering outcomes and into working with chaos as a creative element in dealing with AI and dealing with any kind of disruption that's coming in. The second aspect of it is shifting from reductionist to a wider view, so a widening and expansion of consciousness versus the shrinking that takes place when fear dominates. And the third part of it is the whole mental restoring vitality to the human health in a organization, to yourself, so you can make your own health related decisions, but also looking at it through a wider organizational systems wide lens. So those are the three things I'm hoping to see the results show up in decision making. But the idea is to give people the experience, create the epiphany, and then from there, people do what people do. So that's the project.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Donna, for sharing. And I know a lot of people in the community that have that nonlinear thinking you're talking about, and I'm super excited about this project of yours as well. I think the networks are an amazing framework to redefine what we are as humans, right? And aspects as important as health and other elements you're touching on. Yeah, so super excited to see how that project unfolds. I have dropped the link to join Donna's project on Slack. I want to very quickly share as well before we go into the proposals. The last project is a proposal that I shared on, it's called Network First Company Pilot. So thank you all for your vote to ratify. And just before going that, any questions for Donna, by the way, sorry, here, any questions for Donna's project, any feedback, any impressions you want to share?
I had a quick question, Donna. Do you want to? I see that you have a YouTube video about this. Do you want to share your YouTube link for folks if they want to take a look at that and hear what I think a lot of what you just said, but maybe said slightly differently to get more familiar with your project and your thinking?
Sure. I mean, it's on the Slack channel, and I think I successfully posted it on LinkedIn. I always have trouble with that, but yeah, that would be fine. I'll figure out how to do that.
Yeah, a great idea. Remember, creating video is a great way to share asynchronously with the community, especially with all the notifications we got going on Slack. Having a video and putting a face behind the message really makes a huge difference. So great work, Donna, as well as Nathan and Robert and the other people that have recorded videos to get your proposals ratified. Any other comments? Yep, please.
For anyone that is interested in joining, the intention is to be both iterative and divergent at first, and just listening to what so I did a couple of documents, one to sort of, if you don't have any ideas, then read this. It's an AI generated, seed paper. And the other one is just more, bring your imagination and let's play. But the idea would be to pull these ideas, put all these ideas, let them swim around, and then pull something down that we can move forward into a project format.
Amazing. And remember, guys, like we have created here like a structure, and I'm, hammering each of the project catalysts with specific best practices to apply to increase attendance. But in the end, the essence of collaborative freedom is to go with whatever framework feels more authentic to you, right? So when we share some best practice stuff, feel free to disregard them completely and propose the structure of the project however you feel authentic to you. That's also, I'd say like some members just go in their own structure, and that's a beautiful thing as well, because in the end, as far as it comes from a place of authenticity, people are going to resonate with it. Thank you, Donna, for sharing the project. I'm gonna do very, very quick work here, sharing an update on the Network First Company Pilot. So again, the goal of this project really is to have a document an actual pilot of how a company integrate a network first model in a native way. There are two main scenarios here that we want to document. First is a company that implements network first across all the core operations, marketing, sales, finance, HR, leadership, and then like document how established company that works with a centralized environment can adopt a network first approach, whether it is through the creation of a network first zone or whatever framework we come up with. But it's really important, I think, that now that our model is at a certain level of maturity, to really document how these methodologies can increase the success of existing organizations, and that way create a case study that can serve as an example for additional companies out there. I'm going to open, I can tell you right now, my own company for this experiment right away, but also would love to count with any other company from members of the community that wants to be part of this. Whether this is a small company or typically starting with at least a minimum of 20, 25 members to be able to document something a bit more comprehensive, but we can also look at how that look like for unipersonal consulting firms as well. So yeah, super excited. There are already some ongoing discussions, and with actually Cornell University, who has shown interest in helping us document this case study and document what a case study of Network First look like. So we're gonna have some interesting partner interactions there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm gonna share the link on Slack to join there as well, and look forward to working with all of you on this. And with that, we can start with our wave of proposals. Do you have any questions on the Network First Company Pilot? Well, I'll drop the link here. Or Brian, any questions you want to surface from the chat?
No questions right at the moment.
Okay, so let me just first company pilot here. Okay, there you got the Slack link to join. And with that, we're going to go now to our proposal highlight section. Thank you all for your patience as we go through this. Can you see the list of proposals? So hopefully, yes. So we're going to start with the proposal, Network First Consulting by Dan George. Again, remember that you can actually already vote for the proposals on this link here. You have to log in with your registered work email. Please remember to use the work email instead of the personal email. I'm going to drop the link on the comments here. And after each presentation, I'm going to be sharing the individual proposal link for each of them. So the first one is Network First Consulting with Dan George. Dan, are you there?
I'm here now, yeah.
Perfect. So feel free to share whenever you're ready, or just however you deem more appropriate. Stage is yours.
Let's see. So I just did a simple slide and it just copies over kind of what the proposal was saying. So I'll just kind of speak to it. I've been a consultant for 20 years now, worked at big firms, been running my own small firm for a long time. And while I love doing that, I still really value, again, working with other people to kind of design projects and understand kind of what clients are looking at. So this group is what I would call the Network First Consulting Group. I'm not looking for a big group. I think I'd really like to start with 4 or 5 members and kind of grow that. But the idea is to have a view of network first thinking and how to apply that for client challenges, whether it's strategy misalignment, workflow, inner, company functional dynamics, whatever it is. I'd really like to pull together a group of really smart people. Again, O&A is obviously a big part of my push, but also open to any other network first methodologies and frameworks. The idea is to create some white papers as a group, as a team, something where we can use real world examples, or even just, again, using some of the other resources and tools that we have, come up with white papers specifically for helping our client counterparts and prospective clients not only understand kind of how the network first principles can be applied within their organization, but how it would improve their organization. And obviously from the commercial side, right, how can we all do better by applying network first principles across our client sets and across their organizations. So I'm looking to meet probably every other week for 60 to 90 minutes in the beginning, just to kind of get things going. But I purposely don't have a set framework of how I want this to work, because I think combining the very brilliant minds that are on this call, I'd like to kind of shape the output as the group sees the best fit for purpose. So in essence of time and wrapping this up,
Amazing.
I want to be able to support my project.
I think this can be a super important project for the community because if we look at the Agile movement, for example, the creation of the figure of the Agile coach, for example, and the Agile certification was a key milestone in helping the movement scale. So I think that we have a really great community of very experienced consultants that have witnessed how methodologies like Lean Six Sigma, like Agile, has shaped entire industries, and we got people that are passionate about what we're doing here. So you can create a powerful community there. So I love this idea. Any questions for Dan? Any comments, feedback? I've dropped the link to vote for Dan's proposal on the chat. Brian, any comments or feedback we want to surface there?
Just a lot of affirmation at the moment.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Dan, for bringing out this proposal, and best of luck. Remember that if a proposal gets 25 votes or more within the next 7 days, it gets ratified, and then it has its own project on Slack. So let's move forward to the next proposal, the Network First e-commons project by Joe Todaro. So Joe, I'm going to make you a co-host, and feel free to share whenever you're ready, or just guide us through your proposal.
I'm just going to talk. That's all I'm going to do. So e-commerce, e-commons, I should say, is an economics-based dialogue as efforts within the Network First community are beginning to find their way into monetization. A few of us thought well to begin to address the paradigms that we're bringing into the whole topic of monetization and update those paradigms, in a network first framework. That's all I got.
Nathan, I think it's very, very important to identify some best practices to help some of these emerging projects monetize. Because at the end, many of us are putting time on this, like on top of our centralized job. And we can get this to a point where we can actually, again, even if the initiative itself is non-commercial, because there is no fees, there are no sponsors, but if we can empower through best practices and a shared framework, Project Catalyst, to monetize that project and create income for both themselves and the members of the team, wouldn't that be an amazing thing? We could do this full time. I think that's a very, very relevant project, Joe. So I just dropped the link to vote for your proposal there, and you count with my vote already there. Maybe any questions for Joe, comments, feedback?
Okay. I will add too that I'm intending for after the typical 2-week waiting period, we will be meeting every week, and I do have some initial ideas for a structure for this dialogue to start, but I do look forward to further input and refinement there. That's all I got. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Joe, for sharing your proposal. Again, 7 days to get 25 votes or more. The next proposal I see here is O&A for private equity sponsors, the secret to monetizing exits. I think this one is from our founding member from London, James Parson. James, are you out there? Let me see. I don't see James, so maybe we can move with Matthias in case he joins later. Matthias, I think you're there, right?
Yes, I am.
You want to guide us through your proposal, decentralizing B2B sales through AI-enabled networks?
Yes. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, very quickly. So we launched a proposal about AI within, and I would say a very practical problem we all have, and that's sales. In particular, B2B sales, when it becomes to products, you cannot just order on Amazon, plug and play them in. We identified that, that traditional sales channels as we know them are very outdated, very hierarchical within the organization, but also outside the organization. And we also seen a major shift of a lot of those companies who sell those complex technology products that they want to implement AI, but nobody really knows how to really do it in a way that it's beneficial to everyone involved. And Therefore, I would like to basically to open up a Network First Slack group where we talk about what's the benefits, what can be done, but most importantly, how to build basically what needs to be in place in regards to guidelines, requirements. I might put to this one here. That we can build something which is beneficial to people and which includes basically people with the objective, of course, to decentralize the entire sales from a, having employees and or contractual partners towards a model where everyone who is fond and firm within a certain industry or even with a product can basically benefit in such a model. And I know that this is very, let's say I made this very short, but I don't have so much time. But the idea really behind it is to use or to create a hybrid model of AI where you have not only the manufacturer or the service provider with very complex technology products, but also using basically a network of through AI, basically selling their products through a network of sales professionals. That's basically in a nutshell. And the purpose of the group, or why we are bringing that even to Network First Manifesto, is not so much the technical part in writing an AI agent, but really to come up with the right guidelines, to scale trust, because people are afraid of AI, a lot of them, and they don't want to share information such as intellectual property, what happens. So what needs to be done in order for them to really want to use such a tool, and what guardrails needs to be in place to do so, to create something beneficial. That's in a nutshell.
Amazing, Matthias. I know some of the members in the community don't know you yet, but I know Matthias for a long time now. He's a fellow entrepreneur here in Palo Alto in Silicon Valley, originally from Germany. And yeah, he's an amazing person to work with. And I think that he is exploring a very, very relevant area for the network first movement, which is, how can we leverage networks and artificial intelligence to modernize the go-to-market strategy of companies? And this key aspect of any initiative that wants to approach a network first methodology. So any questions, comments, feedback for Matthias? I've dropped the link to vote for his proposal in the chat. Brian, anything you want to surface? We're fine?
We're fine.
Perfect.
That's good.
Well, super excited for your project, Matthias. And there is, since James and Tatiana have a conflict, just so you know, there is a couple of additional proposals on applying organizational network analysis for private equity and an initiative focused on onboarding and newcomers from Tatiana Koval as well. I just want to share very quickly as well, before going to the breakout rooms, proposal I have submitted on network first semiotics. And so let me share the screen here briefly as well. Okay, so network first semiotics. Basically, semiotics is anything that has to do with symbology. Those of you that have been working with me for a while, you know that I'm very, very passionate about symbology and semiotics. I've spent a lot of free time studying ancient philosophies, different movements to understand. I think that, when we are discussing, thinking about how the future of work can look like, it's very healthy to understand first where society comes from and where our current framework comes from. And we don't really fully understand where the current framework we operate with comes from. We cannot really influence or kind of like propose a setup that is effective for how that framework should evolve. And in that regards, I think that the goal of this project would be to create a community where we can explore different frameworks, opportunities for benchmarking, whether it is from philosophy, other decentralization movements, even religion, different symbolic systems that we can benchmark and implement those best practices into the model of the Network First Manifesto that can include, for example, iteration of our logo, but also kind of like create that symbolic universe that people can relate to And I think this is very, very important, not to convey only the rational message of what the Network First Manifesto and the Network First Future of Work is, but to explain through symbols that relate to the audience. So for those of you that have nonlinear thinking, for those of you that enjoy discussions about philosophy, symbology, this is the place to be. And I'm super excited about launching getting this proposal ratified and launching this project with all of you. Any questions, feedback, comments on this? Perfect. So I'm going to drop the link to vote for that proposal as well. And then we're going to go ahead and move forward to the breakout rooms. We're going to have one breakout room of 15 minutes so you can network with the rest of the members until the end of the session. But other than that, is there any topic that anybody wants to surface before we go to the breakout rooms? I'm going to just drop the link here. Perfect. Well, so again, we'll allocate the last 15 minutes for the breakout rooms. But other than that, thank you very much to all of you for joining today's session and for your active participation. We'll be sharing the recording for those of you that could not join. I'm going to